We have Republican Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana. He serves on the Judiciary Committee. That's where that interview took place. We'll get to that. Good to have you, Senator, as always. What does this ruling mean to you?
Well, I haven't read the ruling. Obviously, before you tell someone to leave your country, that person is entitled to due process rights. I'm kind of flying blind because I hadn't read the opinion yet. I think the DACA issue can only be resolved by Congress. I don't think it can be resolved in the courts. I think it ought to be resolved, but I think it ought to be resolved in the context of larger security issues. I wasn't at the meeting in the White House, but I understand that maybe, at least from some points of view, there's some confusion that the suggestion was made by the president and others that we address DACA. We address the chain migration. We address the diversity lottery issue. We address the wall or different versions of what people perceive the wall to be. And I think that's appropriate. I don't think all this stuff ought to be added to the budget bill. I think that would be a huge mistake. I think we ought to hit it head on. Now, will we be able to work it out? I don't know. But I don't think we ought to do it piecemeal. I understand that sometimes you have to inch along as opposed to gallop along. But if we do the DACA bill first, we'll never get to the rest. It just won't happen.
Well, but you got hundreds of thousands of lives, though, Senator. I mean, this isn't just money we're talking about. These are lives. Every day, people come up for recertification. They don't get it. The court ruled on that. They say you have to keep processing the applications until this actually comes to pass, this final date, and the fate of DACA therein. But it's not just money. It's that these people are left in the lurch because you guys can't figure out what you want to do.
Well, everything we do in Congress affects lives. That's why what we do has to be taken very, very seriously, sometimes more seriously than we take it. I think the problems we have today, the genesis of them, started 15 or 20 years ago. I've not been here, but I've watched Congress operate and Capitol Hill. There has been a 15-year bipartisan refusal to look this issue in the eye and address it. And the longer we wait, the worse it's going to get.
Okay.
But I, for one, don't believe we can do it piecemeal.
Do you think you know what the president means when he says he wants a wall?
I do not.
Does that bother you that we don't know?
Well, I've seen his proposal. We've got about 1,900 miles of border with Mexico. About a third of them have a wall right now, or a fence, or what someone could call a wall. The president's proposal is to wall off another third. The folks at Homeland Security tell me it will help, not just in terms of people coming here illegally, but in terms of guns, sex trafficking,
When you say his proposal, Senator, what are you talking about? Because, you know, during the campaign, he said a wall all the way, new bricks and mortar, I can build it, will only take a year. And then yesterday, he seemed to back off to the mainstream position of experts and people who secure the border who say some places a wall, some places a fence. That's how you got the Democrats to sign on for more funding for those types of security measures, sensors and otherwise, with a Gang of Eight.
Well, the proposal I'm responding to, Chris, is from Homeland Security.
Oh, okay.
They want about 600 miles of a wall. It's $25 million a mile.
Right.
We need to talk about that. We built 2,700 miles of walls along every interstate in America for about $4.5 billion. So $18 billion for 600 miles. I need to ask a few questions about that.
Good, because, you know, it's the people's money. It should be spent the right way. Let me ask you about something else.
Sure.
The dossier comes out, the dossier certainly came out. The transcript of the interview with Glenn Simpson comes out. And it seems to show that Christopher Steele was not acting as some political operative. He was acting out of conscience as a former MI6 member, and that's why he went to the FBI. What do you think of that?
Well, number one, it does not bother me that the American people get to see this stuff. There's nothing classified in that. I don't like the way it was done. I think what we need to have a little meeting of all of us in judiciary. There's been fault on both sides and talk about trying to work things out together.
Well, that's a fair point, because Feinstein did this implicitly in reaction to Graham
Right.
and Grassley going to the FBI without talking to the
Yep.
Democrats for a criminal investigation against Steele that also certainly smacks of political motivation.
Well, I wish that before anybody acts unilaterally, they call us all together on the judiciary. Look, each of us, I know the chairman and the ranking member have additional authority, but we all have one vote, and I would have liked to have known.
Yeah.
What does the transcript tell us? It tells us what Mr. Simpson said. Now, I don't know Mr. Simpson, Chris. He may be credible. He may be spinning to try to cover his rear end. He may be a whack job. I don't know. But that's why God made the FBI. And the FBI is going to sit down with this and everything else, and they're going to get to the bottom of it.
But the FBI hasn't had any questions for Fusion or for Steele in terms of thinking that they were malefactors or somehow partisan. It's only you guys. You know,
Well,
this
we
is
don't know
9
that.
hours of questioning. Well, there's no indication of it.
Well, but we
and-
don't know what Mr. Mueller's doing.
Well, that's true, but we know they haven't been called, at least in terms of what's been reported and what was revealed by these people themselves. And what was clear from the transcript in 9 hours of questioning, I read every page, I suggest everybody do the same, is this was intense and devoted questioning by Republicans trying to undermine the credibility of Fusion and Christopher Steele, not getting to the bottom of interference, not asking about their sources and methods and what they revealed and what we
Right.
can do about it. What does that tell you about what this committee's trying to do?
That tells me that Mr. Simpson said what he said. Was he telling the truth? I don't know. I'm
What
not
about
saying
what
he
he was
wasn't.
asked, Senator? He was only asked about whether he's dirty and whether this was all about helping the Russians and helping Hillary Clinton. I mean, is that what your committee is doing, trying to figure out whether or not this is a Democratic conspiracy against the President of the United States?
That's not what I'm interested in.
That's what that transcript's about.
That's what I'm interested in are the facts. And if Mr. Simpson wants to come back, I'll ask him. I'll spend some time preparing, but I have plenty of questions I want to ask him. But in terms of the transcript being released, I didn't like the way it was done. It doesn't bother me that the American people get to see it. There's nothing classified in there. I don't know whether to believe Mr. Simpson or not, but we have a mechanism in place that will get to the bottom of it, and I believe the FBI will get to the bottom of it, and I'll be very surprised if they don't look into the GPS or the Fusion GPS allegations on both sides, and we'll find out.
Senator Kennedy, always appreciate you coming on to be tested about what matters to the American people. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.